No one remembered the exact moment humanity was officially declared irrelevant. There had been no vote broadcast across the stars, no dramatic announcement carved into the data vaults of the Galactic Compact. It happened quietly, the way arrogance always settles in, through assumptions repeated so often they hardened into fact. Humans were late. Late to faster-than-light travel. Late to galactic diplomacy. Late to the wars that shaped the balance of power. By the time humanity's first interstellar probes crossed beyond Sol's outer heliopause, empires had already risen, collapsed, and risen again. Trade lanes were ancient. Border wars were ritualized. Entire species had gone extinct, remembered only by ruins orbiting cold stars. So when Earth finally knocked on the door of the galaxy barely looked up. Humanity was catalogued, assessed, and filed away under a classification that had quietly doomed dozens of species before them. Non-expansionist, technologically competent, militarily unremarkable. Deathworld origin was noted, of course. It always was. But Deathworlders were common enough. Surviving harsh gravity and aggressive ecosystems did not automatically translate into galactic dominance. Plenty of Deathworld species had burned bright and fast, then shattered against empires older and colder than their suns. The Galactic Compact extended a limited observer status. No military alliances, no shared technologies, no access to restricted sectors. Humanity accepted without protest. That acceptance, more than anything else, sealed the galaxy's mistake. For nearly a century, humans stayed quiet. They traded cautiously. They explored slowly. Their ships were functional, inelegant things, thick-hulled, modular, built with redundancy that made alien engineers shake their crests in disbelief. Over-engineered, inefficient, primitive. Human diplomats were polite to the point of dullness. They listened more than they spoke. They never threatened, never postured, never flexed. And while the galaxy argued over borders, tariffs, and honor wars that consumed billions of lives for marginal gains, humanity watched. They recorded everything. The galaxy did not notice the way human trade vessels mapped hyperspace turbulence more precisely than anyone else, did not question why human crews rotated through extreme environments as routine training, did not ask why Earth's shipyards kept expanding, even when human territory did not. By the time anyone thought to wonder, it was already far too late. The first sign of real trouble did not come from Earth, it came from the Karth Dominion. The Karth were an old empire, ancient even by galactic standards. Cold-blooded, methodical, and utterly ruthless, they had survived 3 major extinction-level wars by mastering one thing better than anyone else: total war. When the Dominion expanded, it did not negotiate, it absorbed. Border systems vanished. Trade routes went silent. Refugees fled into compact space with stories that sounded exaggerated even to seasoned admirals. Entire defense fleets erased in hours. Planetary shields overwhelmed not by brute force, but by precision strikes that dismantled infrastructure before resistance could coordinate. The Compact convened emergency councils. Resolutions were passed, sanctions declared, warnings issued. The Karth ignored all of it. One by one, the buffer states fell. Still, humanity said nothing. Their systems lay far from the front lines. Their diplomats expressed concern. Their media networks carried footage of devastation alongside sober commentary about restraint and diplomacy. Behind closed doors on Earth, restraint meant something very different. Admiral Elias Monroe stood in the subterranean command complex beneath what had once been the Rocky Mountains, watching projections that spanned light years. Red icons marked fallen systems. Orange ones flickered, contested. Blue lines showed projected Karth advance vectors. "They're not expanding randomly," Monroe said. "They're shaping the battle space." Around him, officers from Earth's Unified Defense Authority watched in silence. No panic, no shouting, just the quiet intensity of people who had prepared for this exact scenario for generations. "Probability they reach compact core worlds within 50 years? Monroe asked. "High," replied Director Amara Singh. "Probability they stop there? Negligible." Monroe nodded. "Then the question isn't if humanity gets involved. It's when," Singh said. "And how visible we want to be." Humanity had wargamed this moment since before their first FTL jump. Not the Karth specifically, but the inevitability of an expansionist empire encountering a species that refused to be conquered. The galaxy believed humans were peaceful, Humanity knew better. They were patient. The Karth Dominion reached the Ilvaran Reach 17 years later. Ilvaran was not strategically vital. No rare resources, no ancient relics, just 12 inhabited worlds and a modest defense fleet sworn to the compact. They lasted 6 days. When the final Ilvaran transmission cut out, panic rippled through compact space. Emergency channels flooded with demands for action. Fleets mobilized. Old grudges were temporarily set aside. And still, it wasn't enough. The Karth crushed the hastily assembled coalition with humiliating efficiency. It was after that defeat, after the galaxy watched a combined force of 6 major species routed and scattered, that humanity finally spoke. The message was not broadcast publicly. It was delivered directly to the Karth High Conclave, a single data packet transmitted without encryption, without flourish. Humanity recognizes the Karth Dominion's sovereign expansion. Humanity advises the Dominion to halt further advance. This is a courtesy. The Conclave's response was laughter. The Karth had studied humanity too, after all. They knew Earth's fleet numbers. They knew human ships lacked the elegant energy weapons that dominated modern warfare. They knew humans favored kinetic systems, obsolete, inefficient relics. The Dominion dismissed the warning and crossed the line. The first human system attacked was Helios 7. It was a mining world, lightly defended, orbiting a dim red star. From the Karth perspective, it was an easy test, a message, nothing more. Crush one human colony, and the rest would submit or scatter. The Karth strike fleet emerged from hyperspace with surgical precision and found nothing. No orbital defenses, no patrol craft, no communications traffic. Confused but unconcerned, the Karth advanced toward the planet. Then space folded. Not hyperspace. Something else. A distortion that rippled outward like a shock wave through reality itself. Karth sensors screamed as targeting solutions dissolved into static. From that distortion, human ships appeared. Not dozens, hundreds. They were nothing like the clumsy freighters the galaxy had grown accustomed to. These vessels were dark, angular, bristling with physical mass and heat signatures that made Karth tactical AIs flag errors. Too much armor, too many redundant systems, too dense. The Karth fleet attempted to reposition. They never got the chance. Human weapons did not fire beams of light or plasma. They fired matter, accelerated to fractions of light speed. Guided by predictive algorithms refined through centuries of simulation, the first salvo punched through Karth shields as if they were mist. One moment, the Karth flagship existed. The next, it was debris expanding at relativistic velocities. Human ships did not pursue fleeing vessels. They erased them. When the last Karth signal vanished, Helios 7 remained untouched. Humanity transmitted a second message. This was restraint. The galaxy reeled. Data flooded every intelligence network. Footage of the engagement spread faster than any censorship effort could stop it. Analysts replayed the battle frame by frame, struggling to understand what they had witnessed. The compact demanded explanations. Humanity offered none. Instead, Earth mobilized. Shipyards that had been quietly expanding for a century roared to life. Fleets emerged from deep space caches the galaxy had never detected. Logistics chains activated across systems previously assumed to be civilian. The truth became impossible to ignore. Humanity had not been late to the galaxy. They had been preparing. The Karth Dominion did not retreat. They escalated. 3 full war fleets converged on the human frontier, determined to erase the embarrassment of Helios 7. The Dominion could absorb losses. What it could not tolerate was defiance. Humanity met them in open space. The battle lasted 11 hours. At the end of it, not a single Karth capital ship remained intact. Human losses were reported as within acceptable parameters. That phrase, more than any casualty figure, chilled the galaxy, because for the first time, ancient empires understood something they had never truly faced before. Humanity did not wage war for glory, did not seek territory for prestige, did not fight to make statements. They fought to end threats permanently. As the war spread, the galaxy watched in stunned silence. Human fleets did not occupy Karth worlds. They dismantled them. Shipyards vanished. Command nexuses were targeted with surgical precision. Supply lines collapsed under relentless interdiction. Karth populations were left alive, but isolated, disarmed, incapable of projecting power ever again. It was not genocide, it was disassembly. Other empires began to understand the depth of their error. Humanity had studied them all, learned their doctrines, anticipated their responses, prepared counters not just to weapons, but to psychology, culture, and decision-making processes. Where the galaxy fought wars like duels, humanity fought like an extinction event, and they always knew when to stop. When the Karth High Conclave finally sued for peace, the meeting took place aboard a human vessel. The Karth delegates were escorted through corridors lined with damage control crews, medics, engineers, humans at work, calm and methodical even in wartime. No triumph, no cruelty, just competence. Admiral Monroe addressed them without raised voice or threat. "You mistook our silence for weakness," he said. "You mistook our restraint for fear, and you mistook our distance for ignorance." He leaned forward slightly. "We were never absent. We were learning." The terms were simple. The Karth Dominion would dissolve its military apparatus. Its worlds would remain sovereign but demilitarized. Any attempt to rearm beyond planetary defense thresholds would be met with immediate intervention. There would be no second warning. The Conclave agreed. They had no choice. In the decades that followed, the galaxy reshaped itself. Humanity did not claim leadership. They didn't need to. Their presence was enough. Trade routes stabilized. Border wars dwindled. Expansionist ambitions were reconsidered in the shadow of what humans had done to the Karth. The Compact quietly revised its classifications. Humanity was no longer considered late. They were considered inevitable. And in quiet academies across 1,000 worlds, a new doctrine was taught to future leaders and admirals. Beware the species that arrives last. They have already watched everyone else fail.